Welcome to the Lost in Transition podcast. I am your host, Chris Gerard. Lana Burrell joining me here in a moment. It's National Triathlon Week. If you've been following USAT's calendar, today is Member Appreciation Day. Check out the link posted in our show notes for details on how you could win a free lifetime USAT membership. And hopefully you get a chance to appropriately celebrate this weekend by either racing or at least doing a swim, bike, run, brick session. I've got to squeeze one of those in later on this weekend. Going to be warm, sunny around most of the country. Hope that you have a chance to enjoy some of the summertime weather. Remember to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, the TuneIn Radio app. Also available for listening on YouTube. We're working on maybe getting some video posted up there as well. You can always find us online, losttransition.com, Facebook and Twitter for the social media updates. Connect with us there, share the page, let us know who you'd like to hear on our upcoming shows. In fact, coming up on the next show in just a couple weeks, coach and nutritionist Matt Fitzgerald talks about the new research and best practices in his latest book, Racing Weight, How to Get Lean for Peak Performance. We'll have a copy of his book to give away as well, so listen for that and look for it in your podcast feeds. Speaking of a lean, mean racing machine, Great Britain's Tim Don joining us here in just a moment, the former ITU star Olympian and current Ironman world record holder, setting the fastest Ironman time in history just a few weeks ago down at Ironman Brazil in a time of 7:40:23. We talk about that record-setting performance, get his expert guide to the best of Boulder, and talk about his training philosophy and get a preview to his approach in the 70.3 Worlds coming up in Chattanooga in about less than a couple of months now, and what he hopes to do in Kona this year. Great time with him. Tim Don next after the break. This is the Lost in Transition podcast. Tim Don is a three-time Olympian and four-time ITU world champion and now holds the record for the fastest Ironman ever raced with a finish of 7:40:23 in Brazil just a few weeks ago. He's made quite the impression on the 70.3 circuit over the past several years as well and is headed back to the Big Island to compete in Kona in October. Tim Don, glad to have you here on Lost in Transition.
Thanks for having me.
So, of course, we've got to talk first about the world record, and I don't know if you're to the point where you're sick of talking. I wouldn't get sick of talking about it, but, I'm also not you. So.
Okay.
So this is down in Ironman South American Championship in Brazil, and I know you raced Brazil in 2016, and one of the things that stands out right away is the bike split. Much faster than anybody else in the bike split this year, and 16 minutes faster than your 2016 time. Now, I understand you worked with a time trial specialist. Is it Matt Bottrill in the run-up to Ironman Brazil? What did Matt have you do to lower the bike time by so much?
First of all, actually, last year I was actually injured going into the race, so I wasn't 100% fit. So that obviously didn't help my bike and run time. But no, I've been working with Matt now for a year, and I also work with Julie Dibens as well, who kind of puts the whole program together. But Matt, as you said, is a time trial specialist. He's a multiple national champion over time trialing, and he is recently a triathlete. This is his he did half a season last year and a season this year, but his speciality is time trialing, and he coaches mostly time trialists and myself and two other pro triathletes, both British, and I think he coaches maybe one or two age groupers. But no, I mean, for me, I've always been a good bike rider. I mean, I won one of my world titles in ITU by jumping across from one group to another. And in ITU, that very rarely happens. You're kind of stuck in one group, whether it's the first or second. But no, it was riding the 180k as smartly as we can. It's getting my pacing right. You often hear these people say, "I did insane watts for the first hour, and then I really struggled." And it's like, really? What a surprise!
Shocked.
No, exactly. So we worked a lot on the pacing, and we did lots. He's a numbers guy, so we did. We changed my body position on the bike, how I hold my body, but trying to emulate a pure time trialist, someone like Cancellara, who's the Olympic champ, and Tony Martin, and I guess Chris Froome, but he's a jack of all trades really. So yeah, we worked a lot on position, pacing, and yeah, I mean, we just trained very hard and very specific for 180 kilometers, really.
Tim, I've got to ask you, how much influence did the bike have? We've seen some of the images of your Specialized Shiv, and it's an amazing looking bike, obviously highly technical. How much influence did that have for you?
No, definitely. Again, we've worked on the whole package. I've changed quite a few components this year in the order to, what they say, marginal gains, free speed. And I think, you can have a very aerodynamic bike, and obviously lots of people talk about the numbers in the wind tunnel, but you need to be able to hold a good position on it. And we've been able to dial that in on the frame I've got. And this Specialized Shiv is by no means a super bike and very fast, but it's very functional for triathlon. The fact it's got the internal bladder, which can hold a water bottle. It's got the fuel cell in the bottom of the triangle, which again can hold all your gels and all your spares. And for me, it's about being comfortable on the bike, and I've just been very comfortable. I'm using different extensions and different pads so I can lock in a very narrow position at the front and feel secure there. And that's going to be important in Kona, especially coming down from Harvey when it can get quite windy. And this year, Specialized brought out a new disc, which is still not out yet, and that's 200 grams lighter than the Zip disc, which is light. With Matt, we've definitely done our homework, and within the parameters of sponsors and so forth, we've got the fastest products out there, and the stiffest, the lightest, etc. Because the kind of game we're playing now is that seconds count. I mean, look at Sebi, he just missed out on the world record, and apparently he had his Zip open on the bike, and I'm sure some aerodynamic specialist could say, wow, that could have been the difference between breaking the record and not. So every second counts.
So Tim, this your record-setting attempt, this is really only your fourth full Ironman, is that correct?
My fifth, but it's only the fourth one I finished because I didn't finish Kona last year. 2014, I did Mallorca and I won it. That was my first one. Then I went to Kona in 2015 and got 15th. Then I did Brazil last year and got second, Kona last year and did not finish. And then this is my fifth. Yeah, not that many.
Yeah, no, but it sounds like you were able to at least learn from those experiences, and combining that with the right coaching, really put together, obviously, a record-setting combination. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but you see, we didn't go out there to break a record. We went out there to be competitive and try and win the race. You got to remember last year, Brent McMahon missed the old world record by about 30 seconds or so. So it is a fast course. In Marino raced, I think the year before, he biked to sub 410 as well. So, I think to go fast, you need to have a certain course, certain weather conditions, good road service, not too much undulation, not too many corners. And the course down there definitely, the fact that I think the top 4 or 5 women went sub 9 as well, so it is a fast course without a doubt.
Coming from an ITU background, I've at least read before, body type is a little different. You weigh in at about 143 pounds, at least according to one thing I saw. A little bit smaller than your average long course or obviously a full Ironman racer. And I read somewhere that your approach, part of the advantage of that is that you have to turn less watts for the same speed. What other advantages does that kind of spare, slim body type give over somebody who has a little bit more meat on their body?
I guess specifically on the bike, like you said, mass is the enemy of endurance, of performance. So being lighter, obviously helps with my numbers, but also not being as tall as someone like Jan, Andy Potts, Sebi, some of those taller guys, the hole you're punching through the air is a lot smaller. And definitely in the hotter races, there's, less muscle mass, and muscle is what needs to be cooled down. So I've got, I guess, my legs aren't exactly humongous. So I've got, in terms of the cooling effect, I guess, that should come into my advantage if I've hydrated correctly and, I'm sticking to a plan that works. But then I guess on the flatter courses, I don't have that raw power, but then, that's why we work so much on aerodynamics and, actually riding, at 300 watts in a very aerodynamic position. there's no point doing my hard efforts with my head up high without tucking my shoulders, what they call it, turtling, because you need to be able to hold the higher numbers in the most aerodynamic position that you can hold. And we work a lot of that in training, going, especially on the rev box as well, getting in the position for 2 minutes, out for a minute, in the position while I'm doing my efforts. So it does help. There's nothing I can do about it, I guess, except eat more pies.
Exactly.
No, don't do that. You've got a winning combination now.
Exactly. Well, I was looking at a video on your website that you did, I think 2 years ago or so, talking about motivation and the role also of balancing what is a career, obviously, and a very successful one for you, with the role of being a father and a husband, and also the role that you mentioned that people often forget. Being a provider for a family on a triathlete's variable income. And it was just interesting to get that glimpse into motivation and how that kind of affects you. People, I guess, in my position as an age group athlete, we kind of think we're the only ones that struggle with it. But from what I hear, the struggle is very real at all levels of the sport, and maybe even more when there's something riding on it. Give me a little, I guess, insight into what your relationship is mentally with sport from day to day.
Well, it changes day to day. You have a bad session, and no, I mean, it is very similar. I coach a couple of age groupers, and they have a lot more commitments than I do outside of their training, and for them it's more the balance. But for me, it's knowing, that literally I'm I'm making them, I'm paying, it's my job. It's the income I have. So, I need to focus as much as possible on the training and let the racing take care of itself. But no, you definitely, especially even after the Ironman, we had a nice holiday afterwards and whatnot. And then you kind of, I think we call it the Ironman blues. You're kind of like, well, where do I go from here? And how, I kind of put so much energy, the last 4 months into one race, and, everything panned out. So, everyone's like, wow, you've got the winning formula. And I'm like, well, yes and no. I mean, you have, but it takes so much out of you, and you can detrain mentally and physically so quickly that for me, I definitely struggled for a few weeks getting back into it to find that motivation you're thinking of all the great sessions I've done, and I'm like, gosh, I can't do that now. I have to do that again. And one of my old coaches, he always used to say, and I didn't truly get it till it happened a few times. And maybe it sounds a bit blasé, but he said, you know what? He said, it's the easiest thing in the world to get to the top. It really is. But it's the hardest thing to stay there. And I think that really, for me, is running true, because, I've been at the top, as, not many times, but, a fair few times in my career. And it's kind of like, then you've got the X on your back, and, mentally, you feel you have to push that little bit harder, but that can sometimes be the wrong thing to do. You want to, in me trying to search for that 1% and 2% to go quicker, I could lose 15% by overtraining, by blowing up a lot in big sessions, by trying to go too hard. And for me, that mental side is a real balance, and it can be tough. And definitely without Julie, who lives in Boulder as well, my coach, and my wife Kelly, keeping a check on things like that. Yeah, I definitely can struggle, as I'm sure every pro does, whether they say it or not.
So you were, as Chris mentioned in the opening, you are a 4-time world ITU champion, and you transitioned to long course. And I think a lot of our age groupers listening, of course, many of us start, sprint Olympic, and then we look forward to kind of going to the long course and doing our Ironman.
To long course? What?
Yeah, I know. Got to do it, right? So my question is, how about, as you made that transition from being at the top of ITU, was there anything about that short course racing that you felt was an advantage or even a disadvantage as you got into the long game?
Oh, yeah, there are many advantages and disadvantages. I think the biggest advantage is, and I say this in all due respect, is that the swim is so much more relaxed in 70.3 in Ironman. I mean, if you watched Hamburg at the weekend, you dive in, look at Flora. I swam with her this week. She had a bad start and she came out the water 10th, which for her is
right.
But in 70.3, you can move around people. The fields are less smaller. There's a much difference between, you know, the top 5 swimmers and the back 5 swimmers. So definitely that advantage. And also I used to race 15, 20, 25 times a year. So the actual skill of racing, the preparation, the professionalism, especially coming from an Olympic federation, which at the moment, you know, the British has a tune of £8 million funding. So over $10 million, the professionalism that's put in there, the mechanics that fly with us, the physios, checking out the courses, doing your due diligence on the courses. I think I brought a lot of that, as have Jan, Javier, Alicia, lots of the ITU guys. But I think that one of the big disadvantages is in ITU, you just race. People attack, you react to it. You know, if something doesn't go to plan, you have to then think of a plan to get back in the game. And I think in 70.3, I learned very early on that you have to stick to your own game plan. If someone goes flying past you on the bike, you can't go with them because you will pay dearly later. Or if someone runs out of T2 really crazy, in ITU, you just go with it because it's only 10 kilometers or now 5 kilometers. So I think I really had to detune my racing and really focus on myself, my numbers, you know, how I was feeling, what I still had to do, how long I had to go. And for me, that was tough because I love racing. Put a number on and I'm a different people.
I think that's tough for all of us. I think when you switch from that first, I think it's that first Olympic to a 70.3 and you realize, no, I really can't race the person next to me. I have to race the person inside of me. Absolutely.
And Ironman is a whole nother animal I've learned over absolutely. So, those were some of the good and bad, or tough and easier things that came from ITU without a doubt.
Certainly a lot of races run in the last 20 years of your career, and I'm sure they don't all have a place in your head, but I know that there's one. Just curious to see if you remember Rev 3 Knoxville 2014, the long course, 1.2 swim, 40-mile bike, and 9.8 run. You won that one. Any memories of that race? We ask that just because we're local. There is no other reason.
There was actually. First of all, I had a great swim because I came out with Cam Dye, who's not a shabby swimmer.
And not at all.
Yes.
You went along the river. And it was a nice road. You went up on a freeway, and then you went through not an industrial, but a backwater to get on those nice country roads. And we went over a railway line.
Yep.
And just as we went over the railway line, Andrew Starkovich came flying past me, and his water bottle fell out. And you know what? In all due respect, because we get an automatic DQ, there were no marshals that I can recall around us. But he stopped, turned around, and went and picked up his water bottle.
There you go.
Yeah, no, and that's fair play and full respect. And then he caught me about 15 miles later and went straight past the game. No, I mean, it was a great course. I mean, and afterwards we stayed a few days. It was one day. It was myself, Leon Griffin, and a guy, James Hadley. And we went to, because obviously I'm Boulder, Denver, and we went to the university sports facilities because someone had a friend who worked there. So we swam in the beautiful 50-meter pool. They let us in. We got a tour around the stadium, and that's, correct me if I'm wrong, where Peyton Manning went to university.
That is absolutely, you give a 100% on your Knoxville quiz.
And they were just building, impressive. I think they were showing us the gym for the basketball team, and I was like, what, that's just for the basketball team? And there was an even bigger one for the football team.
Oh yeah.
I was very impressed with the campus and the facilities there. We had a nice meal out. There's like a nice courtyard of loads of restaurants and stuff. Yeah, no, it was a good weekend.
We'll put that in the Visit Knoxville travel brochure. Recommended.
Shame the race isn't on anymore as a professional race. It was a good, honest race. Great distance as well.
Yes, racing, all over the place and training all over the place. What are some of the favorite places that you've been able to go? There's certainly a lot of variety, and I know you spend the bulk of your time training in Boulder. But what are some of your favorite places looking back?
Definitely looking back, I lived in South Africa for 5 years in a place called Stellenbosch, just outside of Cape Town. And I've got fond memories training there when I was younger, and the trails, the university, the swimming pool, the riding. It was a real kind of cafe culture, high performance, lots of rugby players there, which is big in South Africa, lots of Olympic swimmers. And it was the same time zone as Europe. So in the winter, European winter, it was the summer in South Africa. So lots of athletes would come down. And I remember I'm on the running track once and I counted about 4 or 5 Olympic gold medalists from track and field. So I've got great memories there. And I really enjoy, obviously, training in Boulder, but one of my favourite runs is on Magnolia Road. When I first came here, I read a book that's well known in these parts called Running with the Buffaloes. And to go up on Magnolia Road at 2,600 metres, so I think that's about 8,000 feet, and do my long run there was, that's really a cool place to train.
Wow. So speaking of your training, of course, we spent some time checking out your website at timdon.com. And there, right in big letters, right in the middle of the page, it says, train hard, race easy. So could you share a little bit more about that philosophy?
Well, I mean, for me, training hard is not going out and smashing yourself every day. It's having a team, a coach that you respect and you totally trust, and is doing, to the best of your ability, the training that they set, and, having the trust in them that's going to make you, your performance is faster. So training hard isn't always half-wheeling someone, doing your easy rides, medium, it's sticking to a program. But there are definitely, some sessions that, as a professional, and I guarantee whether it's Sebi, Jan, Daniela, or even Chrissy, there are certain sessions that they have that they truly believe are harder than anyone else's, and give them the edge, whether it's physically or mentally. And we need to have those sessions for ourselves. So when we stand on the start line, we truly believe we've done everything we can. We've trained as hard as we can. We've squeezed everything out of our bodies, physically and mentally, so we can execute the best performance on the day. So for me, when I say train hard, race easy, I don't mean every day I'm going out. I do 10 days full gas and then have 3 days in bed. It's sticking to the program, making sure that easy is easy, tempo is tempo. If we're told to swim at race pace, I'll swim at race pace. If people want to go past me, who I normally put 2 minutes into in a race, they're fine. They can overtake me. That's one of my big sayings. And the other one is there's no medals in training, which I think is a good one, because lots of people, they think they're the world champion in training, but it comes to races, they're like, how did you beat me?
That's right. There's really no PRs on training day, is there?
Absolutely not. No.
So you carry that philosophy over, you must, into your coaching business called Dirty Fast Coaching. Can you tell us a little more about your business? How did you even come up with that name, Dirty Fast?
It's funny, I get asked that, and obviously for the word dirty obviously thinks various things, but it was actually in 2012 I did some Xterra racing, and I was doing a short video for Specialized, like a 30-40 second one, and I remember just saying, oh man, this is great, it's like dirty fast, it's like brilliant, because I was in Maui, and it's all mud and it was raining, we were all wet, and they wanted to do this video as soon as I'd ridden the course for training, and I was like, oh my god, it's so fast, but it's dirty fast. So that's kind of where the name came from. But I don't coach thousands of people, and I definitely wouldn't say it's a business at the moment. I coach 5 people of various abilities and over various distances. And that's I'm not saying my limit, but I do a very individual program, so I put a lot of time into it. So I don't want to coach anymore at the moment, but I really enjoy it. I mean, as I say, trying to find that balance of family, of work, of friends, of getting the best out of them, travel, and for me, it's really rewarding, when I get an email at the end of the week saying, wow, I had a really good week. I didn't think I could do the sessions you set, but I did. And, some of them were tougher than others and I didn't quite hit this, but no, that's brilliant. What's going on over the next 10 days? And that for me, I get a big kick out of that. But it's something I definitely, as I get a little bit older, and maybe in 3 or 4 years when I stop racing, full time professionally, it's definitely something I would like to get into. Full time, definitely. Speaking of that,
when you're in that stage of life, and like you said, it's probably going to come in a few years, do you see yourself continuing to race as an age grouper?
Do you know what? I have been doing triathlon since the early 90s, 92, 93, and I've been a professional since 1997. When I say professional, I mean actually earning my living. And it is such a part of my life that I can never see me not doing triathlon. There are definitely, I think when I retire, from professional sport, there are definitely some other bucket list things. I've always wanted to do the Cape Epic with one of my good friends, Rian.
Oh, yeah.
And, now these Attila races, they look absolutely awesome. So, I'd like to do a couple of those swim run races. I want to have a crack at a marathon as well. So I think I'll do a year or two. Obviously, if my body can hold out, doing some various things. But no, I can definitely see myself coming back to triathlon, once I retire. But I'm not going to retire as a pro and then next year go and try and win my age group at Kona or anything like that. I'd be interested to, maybe get into some sort of, I don't know if advising is the right word, but somehow get involved with a federation to help with junior development as well. That's something that really, having gone through a very successful program with British Triathlon and, seeing many flaws in it, but many amazing things in it. And, I'd like to think I can give back a lot to the sport, especially to people who really want to make a career out of it, as well as amateurs and age groupers.
Very good. Very good. It sounds like, not only do you have the experience and the drive to help with those kind of programs, but you also get to bring all of this fitness into those swim bike races and Cape Epic. It could be a wonderful retirement.
Oh yeah, but then again, I need to still make a living. It's not like I'm a footballer or a basketball player signing $200 million contracts.
For sure. Hey, so you mentioned when you got to Boulder, you found Magnolia Road, and it's one of your favorite training places. I have to ask, because I'll be in Boulder in a couple of weeks. What are your kind of go-to favorite spots for, food, culture, training? Tell us a little about Boulder. What's great there?
What's great there? At the moment, it's awesome because there are no students here, so it's nice and quiet. No, I train out of Rally Gym, Health and Fitness, and if you're coming in for the week, they're the kind of people that give you a week pass to try it out, and there's loads of great masters swimming there, good treadmills. Frank Shorter's there. He's there like every day on the exercise bike, and I don't think people realise this is Frank bloody Shorter. He's like marathon running, like Project Oregon, etc. wouldn't be nothing if it wasn't for what he did for the sport in the 70s. So yeah, I definitely recommend going to Rally. Coffee shop, I love Spruce. There's two Spruces. I like the one north Boulder. It's very relaxed. It's a good bakery, really nice coffee, not pretentious at all. If you want some Whole Foods is great for food because it's ready available. We're always hungry after sessions, and they have those like buffet bar things. Bijou has curry there as well. I recommend the beef curry. That's awesome.
That's right. You're speaking of Bijou of Scratch Labs. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, he's got a restaurant in Denver, but he's also got like a whole department in Whole Foods where you can get curries and rices and chickpeas and all sorts of really great food. So yeah, like if I've got a big ride early in the morning, I often have one of his in the evening. He's a great guy as well. What else is there? There's a great place called the Rayback Collective, and it's like a brewery, but they have food trucks. So they don't do food, but there's always 3 or 4 food trucks there, so you can pick your poison. Sometimes you get lucky with good ones, sometimes not, but there's always a choice, and it's really relaxed. Ozo Coffee is a great coffee shop as well. There's a few of those in town. And if you want a sandwich, Snarf's. Highly recommend the rotisserie chicken, but without gherkins or we don't like pickles or gherkins. No, the British don't like those.
Well, hey, I appreciate you giving the inside scoop for me.
Okay. You'll have a great here. Yeah.
Tim Don, tour guide for Boulder and Knoxville, apparently, too.
I know, this is great. Well, it sounds like, Tim, you really... not only have you been racing around the world, but you've also been experiencing life around the world and experiencing life around you. And that's just sounds like it's a credit to how much attention you pay to balancing the racing with everything else.
You have to have a balance. There's got to be a yin and a yang. You can't be you can't be too focused. You go stir crazy mad. Those guys that work 80, 90 hours a week, they have to retire by the time they're 35, and to have a career, like I've had, as long as I've had, there definitely has to be times where you need to take a step back and just look around and go, this is my office. I don't have a job. I have a hobby. I am so lucky. So I guess me, that's a coping mechanism of dealing with the hard training and so forth. But I'm truly lucky to have trained and raced in some crazy places all over the world and met some amazing people. So I'm still living the dream.
Looking ahead through the rest of 2017 on the calendar, it looks like 70.3 Boulder and Steelhead coming up here in August. Ironman World Championship 70.3 in Chattanooga on September 10th. That is my birthday and just down the road, so I'll have to come check you out there. And then, of course, Kona in October. So it looks like everything is building up toward Hawaii as normal. But what do you think your chances are at 70.3 in Chattanooga?
I'm not going to do Steelhead is a backup race just in case I puncture or mechanical at Boulder.
Gotcha.
But you have to enter them and commit to them, because you can't enter too late. Chattanooga's, it depends who turns up. I saw Alistair Brownlee was on the start list for Bolton at the weekend, but he didn't race. But I'm presuming Alistair will be there, Javier, Sebi. I'm not sure about Lionel. I don't know if he's playing games with everyone. I'm not sure about Jan. But I think it'll be a fast race. They've changed the course. It looks tough. The swim looks interesting because it's a cross current, with current, against current, cross current. The bike has a sustained effort in it, not up and down. So it's the same climbing as St. George, but that's very much up and down. This is just mostly a sustained climb. So, and the run looks hilly. So I think it's going to be a tough race, but these days it's still so fast. It's just like, it's almost full gas. So I think we're training for a fast bike and a fast run, but we're trying to add a strength component in it at the moment. We've done a big run block where I've been running hills quite a lot, especially short, sharp bursts. So I think, I think it's fantastic. That's the one thing that's disappointing with Ironman and 70.3 is in ITU, I'm used to turning up and racing the best in the world every other weekend. Here, they race twice a year, 70.3 Worlds, Kona. Like you had Jan doing, I did Brazil, I guess. Sebi did Frankfurt. Some people do Roth. Jan did Austria. Some are doing Switzerland, France. Freddie Van Leerd. Ben Hoffman did South Africa. Tio did Boulder. That they really haven't put, like that big carrot of, say, 150,000 winners check that we're all going to turn up. So that's a shame for everyone, but that's the way the sport is. So we have to race and train and play to that. That's why Kona as well is so unique, because it's not just the course, the wind, the humidity, the time of year. It's the first race everyone does where everyone is there, and it changes the tactics of the race.
Well, and I've definitely heard, too, the theory with, especially years like this one where the World Championship for 70.3 is so close to Kona, the mental calculus that goes on with some athletes of whether they will even do 70.3 Worlds, and if they do, how much are they willing to, how deep in the well are they willing to go? And, obviously you have had quite a background in the 70.3 racing world. So I guess what's your mental approach to how deep in the well you can reach and then turn around and compete at Ironman Worlds 5 weeks later?
I'm going all the way.
You don't do anything halfway.
Right. Yeah.
No. Hey, when there's a world title up for grabs, trust me, there's a world title up for grabs. If anyone is on that start line, they are kidding themselves and wasting their time if they are not racing to give absolutely everything. You don't turn up to a race undercooked, let alone a world title. So I think anyone that's on that start list is there to rumble. I 100% will be, obviously, barring injury, etc. But no, and the great thing about this year is last year we had to fly to Australia. The year before it was Europe. This year I'm flying to Atlanta, and driving there is really taken about 5-6 days minimum off because of jet lag, travel. So if anything, we've got an extra week being a North American based athlete, to recover, prepare. And then also after Chattanooga, Matt Bottrill is flying out to Boulder for a big 10-day block of training. So that should be, I'm hoping interesting, not too hard. But no, I think you can definitely do both. I mean, I'm sure statistically, if you look, quite a lot of guys that are getting top 10 at the big races, the World 70.3s, who then go on to Kona, at least 80% of them get a top 10 in Kona as well. So yeah,
the proof is in the pudding. If you can do one, the other one's following pretty quickly then.
Yeah, if you plan for it, and we're planning to do both and hit both as A races, then I mean, Kona is a beast, and I'm absolutely, a 740 doesn't equate to a podium or a top 5 or even a top 10 at Kona. I'm absolutely under no illusion about that. But it definitely gives you confidence, gives me confidence going that fast, and I'm looking forward to the challenge and the demands that it's going to take to get there and then race.
Well, we mentioned the website, timdon.com, and then also social media. It looks like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Is that correct?
Yes, I think it's Try the Don on Instagram and Twitter, and Facebook is Tim Don Dirty Fast Coaching.
Excellent. We will link all that up in the show notes. Best of luck with the rest of your season, and thanks so much, Tim Don, for joining us on the podcast tonight. Glad to have you here.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Don't forget to follow us online at losttransition.com, Facebook and Twitter for social media updates, and rate and review in your podcast app. Helps us boost in the rankings and learn what you like about the show as we reach more and more triathletes out there. Also, let us know who you'd like to hear on upcoming episodes. In fact, Tim Don was recommended by our South America listener, Cesar. He's actually in Brazil. I wonder if he went to that race down there, actually. He told us, get Tim on the show, and we made it happen. Just let us know who you'd like to hear, and we will do our best to get them on the show so we can learn more from them. Also, go ahead and check out the Crushing Iron podcast, one of the recent shows. 2 meat eaters explore vegan racing. Can't wait to give that one a listen and see where Robbie might come down on that topic. New episodes each Monday and Thursday over there at Crushing Iron. CrushingIron.com is the website to find out more and subscribe. We'll talk to you again in a couple weeks with author and coach Matt Fitzgerald as we talk about emerging research into finding your ideal race weight. For Lana Burl, I'm Chris Gerard. Until next time, may all your transitions be smooth.